COVID-19 social relief grants are experiencing a delay in the payments for the months of March and April 2021. This is due to the transition in government financial years. SASSA is currently busy with these end of financial year tasks which have delayed the payment. We're joined now by SASSA Spokesperson Paseka Letsatsi. A very good evening to you and thank you so much for speaking to us, Paseka. So let's just start with, for how long will the delays be for?
Let me rather say good evening, Tepiso, and good evening to the viewers at home as well. I think it's only the month of March where we're experiencing a problem, and this is simply because what we have explained, that the financial year of government ends in March. Therefore, the 1st of April is a new financial year. So we experienced that particular hiccup. However, the South African Social Security Agency, the Social Development Department, and National Treasury are working around the clock to make sure that the matter is resolved before month end.
Okay, before we talk about how you're doing that, Paseka, when the President announced the extension in February, was this then not anticipated, as in the fortnight coming, was it not anticipated that you'd have to make these payments?
Tepiso, you'd recall that the payment was supposed to end in January. So as an organization, we, however, are compelled to make sure that when the payment ends, we compile a report, we submit it to the minister would then submit it to cabinet. And in January, our books were closed, our systems were shut down, and when the announcement was made in February, we had to go and reactivate the processes, start from scratch, and make sure that we validate, we check, we do balance and checks, and make sure that each and every person who's there is eligible. Because in any case, Tepiso, we check each and every month if a person still qualifies to be part of the 350 database. So those are some of the things which we had to do.
I think, Paseka, what I'm trying to understand is that when you closed your administration systems at the end of January 2021, what did that practically involve? Does that mean that the infrastructure is automatically defunct?
Yes, Tepiso, I think you are quite right. Remember, this is not a permanent arrangement. Like, for an example, people who are getting social grants, we have an infrastructure in place which is permanent. However, this was just an intervention to make sure that people get a 350. It was not a permanent infrastructure. So in January, because of the mandate and the instructions which we get from the minister, was to make sure that we close down the system and submit a report. An announcement was made in February. We had to reactivate and do certain things properly, and also ensure in the process that we avoid fraud taking place.
So you then had your application channels again once operational as of February 13 following the news of the extension. I want to understand your capacity. Does that mean that you don't have a turnaround, the capacity of a turnaround within a fortnight?
Not necessarily, I think it's more complicated than that, in a sense that if you have asked a particular amount from National Treasury, that is supposed to, and we're supposed to make sure that at a particular point before month end of March, you close your books and so on. However, this is a special arrangement, and we had to make sure that we get proper approvals from National Treasury, the Department of Social Development, so that as much as we want to do good, as much as there's an instruction to make sure that people get paid. However, there are certain prescripts of government which you need to make sure that you comply. We are, however, aware that we have inconvenienced people, and we profusely apologize for that. We are working 24 hours around the clock, so to make sure that before month end, everybody gets their money for both March and April. However, we want to make sure that and confirm to the whole South Africa that all individuals who are supposed to get what they are supposed to get, we definitely make sure that they get it.
Okay, so just people can further empathize with you, Paseka, as you're so humbly asking for understanding. Just the numbers that you're working with, how many more people are you paying compared to the original number of recipients? Remember, there was an extension, so how many more people applied? And what's the overall number of beneficiaries for this grants?
The number is still the same, it's just below 6 million. However, we had about 89,000 people who applied. We also have the number, so if you recall, of people who have appealed. At some point, people have applied, they were rejected because of one reason and the other, they appealed. And our intention is to make sure that we resolve that and people get what they have to get. But the overall number is just below 6 million.
All right, thank you so much. SASSA Spokesperson Paseka Letsatsi.